Jai Om Vishnupad Purnamanta Puripad Charja Stol Krishna AC Bhakti Vedanta Swami Miraj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai Navadip Tham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamana Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Now, does this go higher?
Yes.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, okay. Yeah, a little more. Hare Krishna. It just tends to fall over.
Right.
It's just a local thing. Okay. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Who's the verse man today?
Vadati Evam Jane Satya Shristva Ashityagam Adhutam Daksham Parsada Antum Datistan Ya Dat Evam Jane Satya Vasu Yagam Adhutam Daksham Tat Parshada Hantum Datistan Dayuda Dati Evam Jane Satya Vasu Yagam Adhutam Daksham Tat Prasad Hantum
Laksham tat parshadam
Dastiktan
Ayudaha
Dati evam jane satya
Tatyevam jane satya
Vasu Jagam Adbhutam
Vasuddhagamatam
Laksham Tat Parshadahantum
Laksham tat parshadam
Abdishtan Aha
Natishtam Ayudaha Tatyevam jane satya Vasuddhagamatam Laksham tat parshadam Tatyevam jane satya Vasuddhagamatam Laksham tat parshadam Natishtam Ayudaha
Ladies?
Dati
Dati
talking Evam
Evam
thus Jane
Jane
while the people
all the people
Saha
Satya
Sati Sa
Visita
after seeing Ashutyagam
Asutagam
death Adbhutam
Adbhutam
wonderful Laksham
Laksham
Laksha Parshadha
Tatparshada
the attendants of Lord Shiva
the attendants of Lord Shiva
Antum
Antum
to kill
to kill
Tatistan
Natishtam
stood up Dayudaha
Ayudaha
uplifted weapons
uplifted weapons.
While people were talking among themselves about the wonderful voluntary death of Sati, the attendants who had come with her readied themselves to kill Daksha with their weapons. Purport: the attendants who came with Sati were meant to protect her from calamities. Since they were unable to protect their master's wife, they decided to die for her. And before dying, they wanted to kill Daksha. It is the duty of attendants to give protection to their master. And in case of failure, it is their duty to die. Esham apatatam begam nishamya bhagavan briguhu yagyagya gnena yajusha dakshinagno juhavaha. They came forward forcibly, but Bhrigu Muni saw the danger, and offering oblations into the southern side of the sacrificial fire, immediately uttered mantric hymns from the Yajurveda, by which the destroyers of yogic performances could be killed immediately. Purport: here is one example of powerful hymns in the Vedas, which when chanted could perform wonderful acts. In the present age of Kali, it is not possible to find expert mantra chanters. Therefore, all the sacrifices recommended in the Vedas are forbidden in this age. The only sacrifice recommended in this age is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, because in this age it is not possible to accumulate the needed funds for performing sacrifices. not to speak of finding expert brahmanas who can chant the mantras perfectly. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Bahyam Dadhati Shapadantikam Deham Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Stam Sajivam Advaitam Savadutam Pradijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lolita Shri Vishakhan Vitam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Gupta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Bodhi Priye Amshakolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Paratyevam Jane Satya Drishtvasu Tyagam Adbhutam Laksham Tat Parshada Hantum Udatishtan Udayudaha. While the people were talking about the unnatural death of Sati, Adbhuta means wonderful or unnatural. We read in homicide cases, the person died an unnatural death. So Sati died an unnatural death by suicide, and not only unnatural, but defying the usual laws of nature, immolating herself in a mystic fire. So while the people were all buzzing about that, the Parshadas, the associates of Lord Shiva, they stood up and they readied themselves to kill Daksha. Desham apatatam vegam, Ishamya Bhagavan Riguhu, Yagyagya Gena Yajusha, Dakshinagno Juhava. But Brigu caught on quickly to what was happening. This is like in international conflicts. You have to be quick and to see what the enemy is going to do. Otherwise, all is lost. So Brigu Muni quickly caught on. These Parshadas are going to try to kill Daksha. So he quickly offered oblations into the sacrificial fire on the southern side and chanted counter mantras, mantras to counteract the what the destroyers of the sacrifice were. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur specifies exactly which mantra they were going to chant from the Yajurveda to kill the destroyers of sacrifices. The first thing is just see what could be accomplished through sound vibration. The people don't know, but through sound, one can do so many things. Even now, the military, I think they have their developed weapons that work by sound. After all, sound is pressure. According to physics, sound is pressure. Sound creates a wave that comes upon the eardrum. So it's a pressure wave. And I saw some items someplace, the military has developed weapons that creates that kind of pressure and either incapacitates people or destroys objects. I don't know the state of the research, but you can make a weapon out of sound. Sound is loud enough, everybody here would be practically floored. Painful. Sound is too loud. And a rock concert is loud. But if you were developing a weapon, you could be super loud. And then apart from volume, then there's the particular waveform, particular shape of the mantra. That has consequences. And finally, the consciousness of the person. The expert chanter not only has capability or scientific knowledge, but has the necessary purity of consciousness, the necessary conscious attributes to bring about the effect. So so many things were done in previous ages by mantra. The weapons were released in the Kurukshetra war by mantra. Not all the weapons, but some were released simply by mantra. And you can restore someone to life by mantra. Was that spiritual master of the demons? Shukracharya, not Shukracharya, another. Maybe Shukracharya. Anyway, was Shukracharya, yeah. He could restore the casualties to life by mantra, some Vedic process. So these mantras one could get free from material existence by properly performing sacrifices with mantras. Sacrifices to Vishnu. But in the present age, no one knows how to chant them. It requires specific techniques and again, specific consciousness. So they used to have Brahmins. Brahmin means Shuchi, pure. The Brahmins would be astonishingly pure.
not just caste Brahmins, but in fact Brahmins. And they were learned, they knew how to chant the mantra. There's a meter, there's a pronunciation. All these things matter. It's not that you just sort of shoot off a mantra any more than you just shoot off a rocket. I haven't been watching the news, but back in the 1960s, it was all the news. They were always sending rockets into outer space, or to orbit the moon, or to land on the moon, wanted to do. Now still there's sending rockets. But it has to be exactly right. Your trajectory has to be exactly fixed. Weather conditions have to be right. All of the various paraphernalia have to be exactly in place. The human beings who are supposed to go on the launch have to be healthy. They have to be ready to go. So many pieces all have to be in place. And then what we all watched on television is that someone would say, all systems go. So everything's working. Otherwise, they would call off the launch. There's some oxygen leaking someplace, or some wires not tight. Even now, sometimes you're stuck on the tarmac sometimes because there's a light flashing someplace on the pilot's console. And until they fix that, whatever it is, you're stuck, you can't go. All the conditions have to be exactly right. Then you can take off, then your rocket can go. Otherwise, you're going to go off course, or you're going to crash. You won't achieve the result. So the mantras were like that. The Brahmins had to chant exactly with the right intonation, the right cadence. Everything had to be exact and with the right consciousness. Where do we get those Brahmins today? They're simply unavailable. Kalaneha mata nashta. Now, it's all lost. Sometimes still in Mayapur, now I don't know, but before there were some, if someone got bitten by a snake, a poisonous snake, there were some local Muslim people who knew how to chant a mantra that would counteract the poison. It happened in the case of some devotees. Still some mantra may be there, but not like this. Not the mantra that will kill hundreds of enemies. Not a mantra that will make a sacrifice successful. No, that's gone. That's one problem. What is that? Tretayam yajato makai. Jayadvaita Vishnu Tretayam. The Satyuga, the method of spiritual realization, was yogic meditation. I would meditate for 60,000 years, 80,000 years. Tretayam yajato makai. And in Treta Yuga, he sacrificed. Dwapara Parichayayam, and in Dwapara Yuga, temple worship. And Kalotat Hadikirtanat. Kalotat Hadikirtanat. Kali Yuga, chanting. Hadikirtan. Not any kirtan, Hadikirtan. The Treta Yuga, we're not in Treta Yuga anymore, so the Treta Yuga methods are no longer possible. The mantras are not, chanters are not available, and there's no money. A sacrifice wasn't just a little ritual. And now what is it? The people, you can do an Agnihotra yagya in your home. You just light a little deep and do a little arti, and that's an Agnihotra yagya. Hmm? It's like doing a rocket launch in your living room. It's just an imagination. Hmm. It's an imagination. Agnihotra yagya. Hmm. But a real yagya had involved so much paraphernalia, so much charity had to be given. The utensils had to be obtained. All the paraphernalia, it wasn't your cheap plastic spoons, all gold. And mentioned that after that when Maharaj Yudhisthira wanted to perform the Rajasuya Yajna, then he sent his brothers in the 4 directions. First of all, to get compliance from the kings, and second of all, to get money. Because without money or wealth, and not paper money, but wealth, without wealth, you can't perform these sacrifices. How are you going to give the thousands of cows in charity? How are you going to have gold plates and gold utensils? How are you going to have tons of ghee to offer in the sacrifice? And even now, it's hard to get even halfway decent ghee in any amount. You know, you can get oil, and you can get ghee, but not real, properly made ghee. That's very difficult. And if you find it, it will be, you get a little jar for $20 or something. But in the sacrifice, you don't use a little jar. There's so much ghee to be offered, and so much charity to be given, and so many arrangements that have to be, just like a wedding. Even people, they're like father's anxiety. How am I going to get my daughter married? And it's not that there's no available suitor, but how am I going to pay for the wedding? Huge burden just to pay for an ordinary modern Hindu wedding. Someone's working for years to save up the money to get his daughter married. And what to speak of performing a Rajasuya Yajna or something of that nature. Simply not possible. Not possible. Even non-Hindu weddings, they cost so much money. You have to rent the space, and you have to do this, and you have to do that. It's a costly affair. You have to feed everyone. So that's a huge problem in this age. Who has money? Maybe some people have big money. They're not usually the pious people. They're not, you approach them and say, we'd like to spend billions of dollars on a sacrifice. You won't even get in the room. And most people, that's just a small number of people who have that kind of money. Most people are struggling. So it's not available to them. Maybe 2% of the population, 3 or 4% has enormous amount of wealth. The rest of us, ordinary or less. So the rest of us can't perform sacrifice. Those who have that kind of money don't want to perform sacrifice. So either way, sacrifices are not going to, and it's not just one, but another and another can do it. So just paying for, just economically, it's not possible. You do what do they call it? Feasibility study, or you say, get it, we can't. It's not affordable. We don't have the money. Not feasible. Even temple worship, so very difficult in this age. It's expensive. what are the monthlies for this temple? I forget if I ever knew. But look at the report, it's going to be a lot of money. We're always in difficulty for money. And this is a relatively small temple, temples back in the Beta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, were like forts. You see still Tirupati Mandir, or Rameshwaram, Ranganath Mandir, big, enormous temples. They're still supported. But if you walk down the road in Andhra Pradesh or Tamil Nadu, every, few furlongs, you'll come across another temple, big or not so big. And most of them are just totally neglected. They used to have property associated with them, or bringing in, getting grains and for taking care of cows and for getting income. Now the property is all stripped away. You just get some old crumbling buildings with some whitewash. Maybe there's a pujari. Just to sustain, just to keep the temple standing is most of those temples project that's very difficult, and those temples may be abandoned. And people don't go. Churches also, Prabhupada observed so many churches. And then here in New York City, they turn them into luxury apartments or clubs, right? You've seen? I think just a few blocks from here, there's in that direction, there's a former church that they're turned into luxury apartments. People don't have the same enthusiasm. Or the same money for churches. So the religion for the present age is eminently feasible because the mantra can be chanted by anyone and it doesn't cost anything. Free open source. The mantra and no previous qualification. Anyone can chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Not subject to the restrictions for Vedic mantras. It doesn't matter if you're on key or off key, to say nothing of Vedic intonation or meter or any of that. Just any sincere person can chant the Hare Krishna mantra. That qualification should be there. One should be sincere, that's the main qualification. Sincerely call out to Krishna. Please engage me in your service. Therefore, we should hear from the pure devotees, not from those who are chanting for money or putting on a performance and getting money. That's not going to help us. That mantra will be hollow. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that sounds are there, syllables are there, but it's not actually the holy name of Krishna, it's just sounds. Even ordinary sounds, to be performative, that is to say, to be effective, the proper person has to chant them in the proper circumstance. I'm not speaking, I'm taking this from Rabindra Swarup Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada didn't mention it, but it's practical. Suppose if I say, I sentence you to hang by the neck until dead. I'm not the qualified person, so your neck is going to be okay. It doesn't matter what I say. Or if I say, I now pronounce you man and wife, I don't have the certificate. So my saying it doesn't, my pronouncing it will be ineffective. But if I'm a judge or I'm a justice of the peace, then you may hang from the neck until dead. Your husband and wife relationship is now formal and accepted in law. But when the ordinary materialistic person chants the Hare Krishna mantra to sell tickets and get money for his family, that will not have the desired effect. But a pure devotee, when he chants, even if he's off key, even if it's not musically very satisfying, the effect will be there. Srila Prabhupada spread the Hare Krishna mantra for the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world, not by musical proficiency or a golden voice, but by a vibration of pure devotional spirit. Well, that is possible in this age. One just needs to come under the shelter of a pure devotee. And if one follows properly in the footsteps of a pure devotee, then he becomes a pure devotee. So, no previous qualification. Smarane Nagala. Yajna has to be, they call in the astrologers, what's the exact moment? Even for weddings today, they call the astrologer, what's the muhurta for the. But in the chanting of Hare Krishna, the place doesn't matter, the toilet room, the place doesn't matter, the time doesn't matter. Any person, you don't need to call in special Brahmins. It's not only Brahmins, but this kind of Brahmin for a Vedic sacrifice. These Brahmins can chant these mantras. These Brahmins can chant those mantras. You need a Yajurvedic Brahmin for the Yajurveda mantra. You need all of that. But for chanting Hare Krishna, anyone can do it. And it doesn't cost anything. It would be sort of like a mundane consideration, but it's extraordinarily important. If it costs money, I'll think about it. Or I can't even think about it. But when there's no expenditure, well, why not? Why not? So this Hare Krishna mantra, no expenditure. We don't need a big temple. We don't need big arrangements. We don't need a lot of paraphernalia. We don't need anything. If we have a temple, that's nice. If we have nice flags and paraphernalia, that's nice. If we have this, we have that, very good. Even if we don't have anything. Prabhupada went to Tompkins Square Park, sat on the ground and chanted. Didn't pay anything. Sat in the park and played on a one-headed drum. No expenditure whatsoever. And then just see how everything is spread from that simple chanting. And we discussed this another time, that we can chant in homes, we can chant in yoga studios. Someone was chanting in the Society of Friends meeting house. You can chant in a library, you can chant in a radio station, you can chant in a subway station, you can chant in a space station, you can chant anywhere. I think in New York, no space stations, but there's so many places where one can chant, public places, private places, unlimited places for chanting Hare Krishna. And we don't need, there's Carnegie Hall and all of those places, wonderful if we can do kirtan there and people will come. But we can do kirtan in people's homes. We don't care if 3 people, 5 people, even no people come, probably several more people, some people come, that's better. But we can go anywhere and everywhere. It doesn't require great qualifications. And teach people, chant Hare Krishna, read from these books, offer some food to Krishna, program complete. And we can go from place to place and teach people, do it like this. And now I've done it with you for a few weeks or months. Now you continue. You don't need me. In this way, spread, spread, spread. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, it became below Nasjeva, Nasjeva. Eva Katira, Nita. All right, any questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class. My question was, you mentioned about the difficulty or
I mentioned about
the difficulty,
Difficulty.
difficulty, yes,
or impossibility
or impossibility.
of performing yajna
Mhm.
during the age of Kali.
Yes, performing yoga is difficult or impossible.
Yet we are advised to perform different samskaras
But we're asked to perform different samskars,
like Garbhodhan, Upanayan, etc.
Upanayan and so on.
Then are we going to be able to perform the samskaras in the right way?
Yes. In the Kali Yuga, the performance of sanskars is also the previous rituals and the elaborate methods are no longer possible. They're no longer possible. Too much. Too much. And Garbhodhan samskar, Prabhupada said, your old lectures, what Garbhodhan samskar. But the Sankirtan Yajna takes the place of all other yajnas, or fills the requirements for all other yajnas. That will be effective. And maybe you know that when our Krishna Balaram temple was established in Vrindavan, Prabhupada arranged to hire some local Brahmins to perform all the standard rituals. And Prabhupada explained that unless the Brahmins do that, the local people won't accept the temple as bona fide. You didn't do the yajnas, you didn't do the pran pratishtha properly, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. So they got some local Brahmins who were respectable and paid them, and they did the yajnas. And meanwhile, Prabhupada engaged some of his disciples to have kirtan. The yajnas are going on, kirtan is going on. Prabhupada said they considered the kirtan to be the actual installation ceremony. The rest was for show. Yes, we're bona fide. See, such and such Brahmin did the rituals. Right, yes. But actually, the Prabhupada said the real installation was the kirtan. Garbhodhan samskar, Prabhupada said, chant 50 rounds. And before conceiving your child, chant 50 rounds, Hare Krishna, Mahamantra, samskar, business finished. Well-known instruction. Oh, similarly, the Antyeshti, funeral ceremony. What is our funeral ceremony? Chant Hare Krishna. Kirtan, that's the main thing. So for all of the yajnas, the main thing is the kirtan. Sometimes we do some yajnas for show, really, to create an impression. Even Prabhupada, he did fire sacrifice for initiation. It was such a simple thing, not a very complex yajna. He would take some dyes, make some pattern, and light some agarbatti, and build a fire, chant Hare Krishna, and And even without the big ceremony, still it was bona fide. Prabhupada initiated that. Namaskar. First Russian devotee, Prabhupada, just in a hotel room, chanted on his beats. Your name is Nantashanti. No big rituals, that's all. Your name is, here's the beats. Sometimes we hold a big, gorgeous yagya. It's only to attract people to come. Real thing is the kirtan. That's yagya. All the yagyas that there are compressed into these words: Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Verses quoted in CC and TLC with all the Vedic mantras, understanding, rituals, all compressed into Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. I think that just these 8 words, I think that was the verse. You don't even need the whole mantra. The extras for getting about Krishna. And therefore, even to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna to be on the same level as these yagyas is an aparat. It's an offense. There was a meeting at the home of his father and uncle of Raghunath Das Goswami. Haridas Thakur was there, others were there. There was some discussion of the holy name and the potency of the holy name, the glories of the holy name. And they were, one was saying this, and then said, no, this, no, this. Someone said that the holy name is equal to 10,000 Ashwamedha yogis. Just chanting the holy name of Krishna once is equal to 10,000 Ashwamedha yogis. And Haridas Thakur said, this is an aparat. You're comparing the holy name to any number of ritualistic activities mentioned in the Vedas as fruitive activities. That's an offense. Oh, how glorious is the holy name that the Vedic ritualistic activities hide themselves in shame in the presence of the holy name. They become insignificant. Yes.
Actually, the class that you will give on Saturday on the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it comes to those verses describing that one who thinks that that number of Ashvamedha sacrifices is equal to the chanting of Hare Krishna. So
It comes.
My question, or I'd like to explore or go deeper, the cumulative effect of repeated Sankirtan Yagna, the weight of the ultimate desired Shreyasi of taking over the golden age of Lord Chaitanya. I just read a very amazing verse in Dhruva Maharaj. He's performing his austerities, and he blocked the universal breathing. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, we can see from the activities of Dhruva Maharaj how a pure devotee can change the consciousness of the world by his devotional service. So maybe that could inspire you to do some other things.
Given that wonderful reference. One time Prabhupada said, little drops of water wear away stone. Little drops of, big, what used to be big mountains are now plains of gravel. Little drops of water wear away stone. But we go, and Prabhupada explained that you go someplace, Union Square, wherever you're going, and you're chanting Hare Krishna, and the same people are there every day coming to work, offices or And so someone is like that, and he hears the chanting, and he thinks, what this nonsense is doing. But every day he's going by, he's hearing and hearing. And finally he thinks, this nonsense is nice. Let me be nonsense like this also. So gradually the effect will be there. Jaito Dharpanam. Remind me, and what to speak of those who are receptive. Even the person who's unreceptive will get some gradual benefit. And nothing of the person who's already credit from previous. Shall we stop here? Yeah. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Glories to you.
Yeah.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai.